Good evening, YouTube. Tired Metalhead Weatherman here. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Man, last night was wild. Over 60 tornado reports and counting. There's still a lot more assessment to go from the Storm Prediction Center, so that number could very well still be going up. Some of these tornadoes, of course, have been pretty strong, even violent. There have been a couple of preliminary ratings of EF3 and EF4 already, and we could see an uptick in that as time goes on. We also have some pretty active weather going on today. There's a tornado watch over towards Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland. So there's still plenty of active weather going on. We actually got upgraded to an enhanced risk over towards these regions here today. So there's actually been a lot of active weather. Multitude of wind reports, over 200 so far. Most of them set up around the Northeast, and then we're still waiting to see what else might be lying ahead for some of these regions over towards Pennsylvania and New York, especially around the bigger cities. Meso discussion got issued about 26 minutes ago. This is depicting that this line of storms has a threat for all hazards, including embedded tornadoes. So this is something that has to be watched really closely. If I hadn't been asleep all day, then I probably would have been live streaming this as well. But after yesterday, between work and the actual live stream, which was 8 hours, so basically I was up for about almost 20 hours. I was just in no shape to do anything here. I apologize for that, but I'm just doing what I have to do. That being said, though, it's been a pretty active day, but if we look down here, there's plenty more to come. So buckle your seatbelts, because we are a long way from finish. It looks like this could be a pretty gnarly start to spring here. So let's go ahead and get an overview on what we could see as we head throughout the course of the evening here. These storms are not going to last much longer. They're going to end up eventually going out to sea, but not before maybe having to look at a couple more severe storms here. This is by the next frame here. We could see some potentially embedded supercells in there. If we scroll down, we could see a similar look with that. Wind and tornadoes seem to be the biggest threat to me, but hail is definitely not out of the question here. We'll go ahead and even take a look at the sounding of this right here. Actually, the hazard type looks to be none, which is actually a good sign. Maybe we'll see this end a little bit early. We'll hope that this is the case here. But by the time we get towards about 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock, the worst of the weather is going to be out here. There could be a couple of scattered showers after that, but for the most part, if you have evening plans, you should be good to go. Maybe bring your umbrella just in case for the early part of the evening, but after that, you should be fine. So that's what we have going on for tonight. Then we got to tackle the bigger stuff here for the next couple of days here. So we have a slight risk for tomorrow. As of right now, based off what I've read on the synopsis for this earlier today, these storms are most likely going to be elevated, but when I looked at the latest NAM model here, the tornado threat does seem like it might be on the increase just a little bit. I'm still thinking hail is going to be the dominant threat here, but could be a few sneaky tornadoes in here. We'll have to keep a close eye on that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the following day, which would be Monday. We have a marginal risk right now. Most of these storms are expected to be elevated in this situation, so hail seems like it's going to be the main threat with this. Can't rule out other hazards being in play, but I'm particularly leaning more so towards hail. Damaging wind gusts can't be ruled out. Maybe a spin up, but not too concerned with this setup. When we get to Tuesday, however, much different story. Here we go again. This is literally a lot like the last setup, and unfortunately, it's in the exact same, a lot of the same areas. Not all of them, but a lot of them. This is a day 4 enhanced risk, and there even has been speculation amongst some in the weather community that think there could be as much as a day 3 moderate risk. It's a very nasty look to this setup, and we're going to go into that in just a little bit here after we talk about Sunday and Monday. But this is another red letter day, folks. If you're in Missouri, Illinois, Iowa once again, and even parts of Indiana, we're going to have to watch you. And then over towards parts of Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, and even parts of Ohio. We aren't disincluding you in this. You still are in the slight risk area. And this area will likely change just a little bit. I don't know if it will expand or not, but we'll have to see what happens here. But the target area definitely seems to be right here based off of what I'm seeing off of models. As far as any of the other days here, predictability as of right now is too low. Day 6 and 7 potential is too low, and so is day 8, thankfully. So we might get a little bit of a break here soon, but we definitely have to get through Tuesday first. We've seen what these storms can do. And we've also seen the proper way on how to get through these storms. So there's no reason to be scared here. Make sure that you're prepared and make sure that you're weather aware. So that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the models here. We're going to start out looking towards Sunday morning, if this thing will stay. But what we have going on here by Sunday morning, we're mainly going to start by looking at the temperatures here. We're mainly looking at the warm sector as of right now, but Sunday morning right here, or Sunday afternoon, temperatures getting into the 80s at the surface, more than sufficient for severe weather. We look at a sounding right here, and actually we get the look of tornado, whereas before we were kind of leaning a little bit more so towards the elevated storm setup. This skew T chart looks a little bit more impressive. The storm relative helicity is actually more so towards the surface than in the last few model runs, so there could be an uptick here. Do I think this will go up to enhanced risk? As of right now, no. But I didn't think today was going to go up to an enhanced risk. So that basically means nothing right now. But it's a pretty impressive setup here. Not the greatest setup in the world. Definitely not anything like yesterday, but the threat is there. A weak tornado wouldn't be ruled out here, especially with the way this hordeograph looks. Just barely seeing anything on the surface there. And that's pretty much what we have going on across north central Texas throughout the course of the day. And then as we go into Tuesday, or Monday, excuse me. Let's see if I can get that in the right spot so we can see the time here. I don't want a box sounding. Sometimes this computer can be a little difficult. It's heading towards 18Z. This is when we would start to see storms starting to develop. This is by 21Z. Oh. So there's a capping inversion here, and the storm relative helicity is weak, but there is a decent hordeograph here that could lean a little bit into a tornado threat. Nothing on a significant tornado parameter there. There is a little bit of a look of a supercell, but that all depends on if this cap breaks here at the surface. Which it might, but I'm kind of leaning more so towards no. The surface cape, though, is ridiculous with this. This could be a bit of a faulty run, though. Let's hope that is the case, because we don't already need storms ahead of the big event. It definitely is not ideal. But it looks like with that look, that tornadoes can't necessarily be ruled out. I think the forcing will be a little bit too weak. This is a similar deal with this one. And this one actually seems a little bit more elevated too. So this probably will not verify. Let's hope that that is the case. We'll jump to the next scan here. We'll go a little further south. This will be around the time when the storms will be more likely to begin to develop here. Still got that capping inversion towards the surface here. This is a little bit more alarming, but again, mixed layer cape is not that impressive, partially due to the capping inversion in play. But it's not a super strong cap, though. That I do find that a bit interesting here. And then this has a better hordeograph curve here, too. Strong helicity with this, too. So we might have to keep an eye on old Monday there. Whereas before, I was kind of more or less scoffing at it. Then there's the big day, which is Tuesday. Let's head towards 21Z, so the early afternoon hours. Heading in we're heading into the peak time frame here. No cap to worry about there. Strong helicity. Hordeograph curve looks pretty impressive. This could be a high precip supercell from the looks of things here. But the classic supercellular look and everything else in play, already leaning towards a pretty notable tornado threat here. There could even be a few strong tornadoes with this already, as aforementioned by the Storm Prediction Center. think the peak time for this is really going to be within this next scan here. And we'll look at other parameters for that before we start looking at more hordeographs. So as far as the NAM goes, though, 84 hours out, already a lot that I'm not liking from just the temperature look alone. Look at the dew point. It's going to be a pretty similar deal. We'll assess the other days too, but not quite as intensely as we will Tuesday from this point forward, though. For tomorrow's threat, dew points are more than sufficient enough, and that's why there's some concern for tornadoes, because at the surface, the temperatures and the dew points are not necessarily consistent, but more so they're more than substantial enough for severe development. And then, of course, Monday, it's a similar deal. Surface dew points are pretty impressive, along with surface temperatures. Forcing is going to be the big question around this region. And then you almost see a dry line setup beginning to develop by Monday night. So I think some storms will likely be possible. Maybe a little bit of a tornado threat later with this. But again, look at that. The forcing is going to be a key component. But if that does verify, though, and this cap were to break, this could turn into a big problem very quickly. I'm kind of leaning more so towards no, the cap won't break, but we're still pretty far out. We'll have to see what happens. But look what happens as we start to head into Tuesday morning here. This moist sector is very abundant. A lot of moisture advex to the north here. So even areas over towards even Chicago, we're going to be watching you throughout the day Tuesday for severe storms. And as we look here, you can see another nasty sounding here. Significant supercell soundings, strong hordeograph. And this is actually almost at PDS tornado level with this. And then also another thing to note is look at the CAPE values here. Whenever you see CAPE values above 1,500 joules per kilogram, the environment is more than ripe enough for storms. When you get closer to 3,000, that's almost considered explosive. Look what we have here in the yellow. That's at the surface. We have a CAPE of almost 2,600 joules per kilogram here. I'm doing a terrible job drawing. Try it again. But basically these two numbers right here, and I still did a crap job. But basically, these two numbers right here where I have this pencil right now are what we are looking at here. These numbers are pretty spiked up, if you ask me. So this is definitely pretty alarming there. And when you start seeing numbers like 5 on the significant tornado parameter this early out, that definitely leads me to be a bit more concerned. So discrete supercell sounding as well, and the nice little curve on the hordeograph, winds possibly up to even 50 knots at the low level parts of the surface here. So very ominous signs that we're seeing. And even as we get, and this could also be yet another nocturnal deal, as storms could fire as far south as Texas into the late evening and overnight hours, with temperatures being more than ideal. We'll look at a sounding with this as well. Oh my goodness. This is not what we are wanting to see. This has the PDS tornado setup. And this is with a little bit more of a linear style setup too. That is not what we are wanting to see at all. I hope this does not verify, because if it is, that's a huge problem. Because this is going to be during the late evening hours over towards Texas, towards Louisiana, areas that have been hard hit as well. So this is pretty problematic here. We look at the we aren't going to look at the low level jet today. We're going to look more so towards the upper level jet here. But the fact that we end up seeing these parameters here, I'm almost scared to look at this. Since this is a new model run here. So this is what we have on Sunday night here. Sufficient environment for tornadic development. Not the greatest that I've seen though, obviously, especially after yesterday. But Monday we start to see a little bit of an increase in environment. But look at this trough that develops right here. This is going to be the key player. But look what happens once we start to get later into the evening right here. I start to see a little bit of a maximum developing at the higher level. And this is where the problems will really start to begin, is early in the afternoon, especially into the evening. Look at that spike right there over towards Iowa, we get towards about 104 knots here. This is a little closer to the low, so this would be a little bit more stable, but even further out ahead of it, how widespread this 80 knot region is, it's a good cause for alarm here. I do see potential. I do see the same potential that a lot of us in the weather community are seeing for a moderate risk to be issued by tomorrow even. Let's hope that isn't the case, but this does not look good at all. Not at all. So we're just going to jump ahead and look at Tuesday from here on out, really. Not going to waste too much more time on the video for you guys. I know you don't necessarily like watching videos for a super long point. But even towards the mid-levels here, the mid-level jet is pretty ridiculous right now from the looks of it. Heading into the overnight hours here, could be some really strong tornadoes. This is a look from, hang on a minute, what? Okay, I don't know how that's not a probable hazard type, but have a nasty sounding right here. We have plenty of cape. Okay, this sounding might be a little bit jank, but that's interesting. Could be a cap problem right here too, though. So I don't know, but I kind of lean towards there being severe weather with this look. But maybe there's something I'm not seeing here. Maybe there's something I'm overlooking. But this is well ahead of where the more stable air would be. So just kind of thrown off by that. And then with this, here's a marginal tornado threat. This is where the cape's a little bit less. I think the cape will pick up as we get into the evening hours. As we go to about 84 hours out, here's where I saw that PDS tornado sounding here, but I don't see a lot going on in the mid-levels. I do find that kind of interesting. Mid-levels look kind of weak, so that PDS tornado sounding we saw may not quite verify. There's also a little bit of a capping inversion here too, but this is more so towards the mid-levels. Some stuff I find interesting here. We'll have to see tomorrow whether or not this verifies. But that's what we have going on here from the essentials for severe weather. And that's pretty much the end of this video here. Again, I want to say thank you to anyone who showed up in yesterday's live stream. I appreciate you a bunch. Also want to say we're probably going to be going live again Tuesday. The timing is going to be a little bit off again because I'll be working. So it's going to be a little tough to manage, but we're going to do the best we can there. Timing is going to be key. But that being said, share this video because it looks like we're going to have a very active spring from the looks of it here. So make sure your loved ones in these areas in particular are properly warned. Not to mention, of course, again, the live stream. But also, in order to help get this video out there, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, of course, hit that share button, and then let me know in the comments your thoughts. But this has been Tired Metalhead Weatherman. I'll see you guys in the next video. You guys have a good night.